metal doors of the colony apartment hissed shut with a final click. A voice from the speaker outside echoed through the hall. Lockdown initiated. No one may leave their quarters until further notice. Inside the small apartment, a human named Daniel stood frozen. He had heard of colony lockdowns before, but never experienced one. Usually they happened because of storms outside or strange space signals, but this time it felt different. This time it felt serious. He turned slowly. His alien roommate, a girl named Lyra, was sitting quietly on the couch. Her bright silver eyes followed him with a strange stillness. She was usually talkative, always asking questions about human food, human music, human jokes. But now she said nothing. Her chest rose and fell too quickly, as if she was holding something back. Daniel gave a nervous laugh. "Guess we're stuck in here together," he said, trying to sound calm. But Lyra did not smile. She lowered her gaze and gripped her hands tightly. For the first time since they became roommates, he felt distance between them, and it unsettled him. The room felt warmer than usual. Daniel checked the vent, but the system was working fine. The lights flickered slightly as the storm outside raged. Thick violet clouds moved past the window, lightning cutting across the alien sky. He could hear the rumble even through the thick glass. Hours passed slowly. They tried to eat dinner, but Lyra barely touched her plate. She pushed the food around with her fork and kept her head low. Daniel watched her carefully. Her skin glowed, faintly under the dim light, something he had never noticed before. It almost looked like the glow of a heating coil, soft but growing brighter each time she breathed. "Are you okay?" he asked finally. His voice broke the heavy silence. Lyra lifted her head. Her eyes glowed like liquid silver. She opened her mouth to speak, but stopped herself. She stood up quickly, almost knocking her chair over, and walked toward her room. I just need rest," she whispered. Daniel sat in silence, unease crawling through his chest. Something was wrong. He could feel it in the way she moved, in the way her voice trembled. She wasn't just tired. She was hiding something. The night dragged on. Daniel lay in his bed, staring at the ceiling. He could hear faint movements through the thin wall. It was Lyra, pacing, stopping, pacing again. Then came the sound of her breathing, heavy, uneven, almost like she was in pain. He wanted to knock on her door, but something stopped him, a sharp instinct telling him not to disturb her. Hours later, when the storm outside shook the apartment, Daniel got up to check the window. That's when he saw her. Lyra stood in the living room, her body trembling, her glowing eyes locked on him. She didn't speak. Her breathing filled the air between them. He froze. The apartment felt even smaller now, the walls closing in on them. He realized they were trapped together, not just by the storm, not just by the lockdown, but by something he could not yet understand. And when she whispered into the silence, her voice was soft but filled with fear. "Daniel, it has begun." The words struck him harder than the thunder outside. He had no idea what she meant, but he knew one thing. Whatever was happening to her, it was only the beginning. The storm outside showed no sign of stopping. The alien sky flashed with violet lightning, shaking the walls of the small apartment. Daniel sat at the edge of his bed listening. But the sound inside was stronger than the storm. It was Lyra's breathing, heavy and uneven, echoing through the thin walls like a warning drum. He told himself not to think too much. She had probably caught a fever. Maybe it was normal for her species during bad weather. But when he stepped into the hallway, the air itself felt strange. The apartment was hot, hotter than he had ever felt it before. His shirt clung to his back and sweat ran across his forehead. The heat seemed to come from Lyra's room. He hesitated, then knocked, lightly. "Lyra, are you okay?" No answer. Only silence, then a soft sound, like a whisper carried by fire. "Don't. Come in." Daniel froze. Something in her voice was different. Not angry, not sad, but desperate, as if she was holding something back with all her strength. He backed away slowly, but his mind kept racing. What was she hiding? Why did the air feel like it was burning? Later that night, Daniel walked into the living room to cool off. He opened the window vent slightly to let air in. The storm's icy wind blew against his face, giving him relief. But behind him, he felt it. The strange warmth spreading across the room. He turned, and there she was. Lyra stood barefoot on the carpet, her silver eyes glowing brighter than ever. Her skin shimmered with a faint golden light, and the heat around her body was almost visible, like waves rising from fire. She hugged her arms around herself, trembling. "Daniel," she whispered, "you should have stayed in your room." Her voice was soft, yet there was something sharp behind it, something dangerous. Daniel raised his hands carefully. "What's happening to you, Lyra? Tell me the truth." She shook her head, pressing her lips tight. Her body swayed as if she might collapse. He rushed forward to steady her. His hand brushed her arm, and he almost pulled back instantly. Her skin was burning hot, like touching heated metal. But she didn't push him away. Instead, she clutched his wrist with trembling fingers. "Please," she gasped. "Don't touch me, not now. I can't control it." Daniel's heart pounded. He had never seen her like this. Her usual playful smile was gone, replaced by fear. She pulled back suddenly and staggered toward the couch, gripping it tightly as her body shook. The heat radiating from her filled the entire room. He felt like he was standing near an open furnace. "I don't understand," Daniel said quietly. "Are you sick? Is this some kind of alien fever?" Lyra's head lifted slowly, her silver eyes locked on his, with a glow that seemed almost alive. "It's not a fever," she said, her voice cracking. "It's the season. It has begun, and you cannot leave me." The words hung heavy in the room. Daniel stared, confusion and fear mixing in his chest. Season? What season? And why couldn't he leave? Before he could ask more, a sudden crack of thunder shook the windows. The lights flickered again. Shadows danced across her trembling form. Her glow flared brighter for a moment, then dimmed, as if her body was struggling to contain something powerful. Lyra curled on the couch, wrapping her arms around herself. "If I fight it too long, it will break me," she whispered. "But if I let it go, it might break you." Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He didn't know what scared him more, being trapped with her in this strange state, or the way her voice carried both fear and longing. The storm outside roared louder, but inside the apartment the true storm had already begun. Daniel sat frozen in the living room chair. His eyes stayed locked on Lyra as she curled on the couch. Her body glowed faintly in the dim light. Her breaths came fast and sharp. The storm outside rattled the windows, but it was her words that thundered in his head. "It's the season. It has begun, and you cannot leave me." He swallowed hard. "Season? What do you mean?" His voice was low, almost careful, as if one wrong word might break her. Lyra lifted her head slowly. Her silver eyes shimmered with both pain and fear. "My species. Every cycle, there comes a time, a heat inside the body. It is called the mating season." Daniel felt his chest tighten. He had heard stories about alien species having different biology, but hearing it from his own roommate made his blood run cold. He leaned forward, his voice shaking. "And now? It's happening to you?" She nodded weakly. "Yes. It is not something we can stop. We endure it, or we share it, but being trapped in this place with you, it makes everything worse." Her voice cracked on the last word. She turned her face away, as if ashamed. Daniel sat back, his thoughts racing. He understood now why the air felt heavy, why the room burned like fire. Her body was fighting itself, pulling her into something she couldn't resist. "I thought I could hide it from you," Lyra whispered. "But the lockdown came too soon. There's no escape now, not for you, not for me." Daniel stood slowly, pacing across the floor. His mind was a storm itself. Should he stay near her or lock himself in his room? But the way she trembled, the way her hands clawed at the couch, it looked like she was in pain. Real pain. "What happens if you don't go through it?" Daniel asked carefully. Her glowing eyes flicked toward him. "My body will burn itself from the inside. The heat will tear me apart." The words struck him hard. She wasn't exaggerating. Her voice carried truth. He looked at her. This alien, girl who laughed at his bad cooking, who teased him about human movies, who now sat before him like a breaking flame. And for the first time, Daniel felt afraid for her life, not just his own. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" he asked, his voice rough. "Because," she whispered, lowering her gaze, "I didn't want you to fear me. Humans don't understand. They think it's just desire. But for us, it is survival." Her trembling grew worse. The glow of her skin pulsed in waves, spreading heat through the room. Daniel wiped sweat from his brow. He felt cornered, trapped in a furnace with no door out. Suddenly she pushed herself to her feet. Her knees shook, but her alien strength kept her upright. She stepped toward him slowly, every move filled with tension. He backed away instinctively, but the wall behind him stopped him. Lyra stopped just a breath away. Her silver eyes blazed brighter than lightning. Her voice broke into a soft plea. "I don't want to hurt you. Daniel, I don't want to make you part of this, but if I fail, I die." The air between them felt alive, heavy with heat and unspoken fear. Daniel's heartbeat pounded in his ears. He didn't know what was more dangerous, the storm outside or the storm standing right in front of him. Her trembling hand lifted halfway, as if reaching for him. Then she pulled it back suddenly and gasped, fighting herself. She turned away sharply and sank to the floor, clutching her arms. Daniel stared, his mind caught between running and helping. His roommate was not just an alien anymore. She was a burning question, one that might change his life forever. And as the thunder cracked across the sky, he realized this secret season had only just begun. The night dragged on without sleep. Daniel sat at the table, staring at the dim light flickering. Above, the storm outside howled like a beast, but his mind was louder. He kept hearing her words again and again. "If I fail, I die." From the corner of his eye, he saw her. Lyra sat curled against the couch. Her body glowed faintly, her skin shimmering like heated metal. Sweat dripped from her brow, but her silver eyes stayed half-closed, fighting to stay calm. Daniel wanted to speak, to ask if she needed water, but he was afraid of what any answer might bring. He felt trapped not just by the locked doors, but by her presence. Every breath she took filled the room with heat. Every whisper made his heart pound. At last he stood, moving slowly toward her. She looked up, and for a moment their eyes locked. The silver light in her gaze burned through him. He stopped just a few steps away. "You shouldn't come closer," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I can't just sit there and watch you break apart," Daniel said, forcing strength into his words. "Tell me what I can do." Lyra shook, her head, her lips pressing into a thin line. Her hands clawed at the fabric of the couch, as if she was holding herself back from reaching for him. Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to run, but something kept him still. Maybe it was the way her voice cracked when she spoke. Maybe it was the fear in her glowing eyes. Then it happened. She swayed forward, her balance lost. Instinct took over. Daniel reached out and caught her by the arms. His hands gripped her. Skin and fire rushed through him. Her body burned like a living flame, yet it did not burn his skin. It was heat that sank deeper, crawling into his chest. His breath caught in his throat. Lyra gasped at the touch, her body stiffening. Then she shuddered, her fingers curling tightly around his wrists. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Don't. Let go." The words struck him like lightning. His mind screamed to release her, to pull away before this went too far, but his hands stayed firm. Her trembling body pressed against his grip. Her skin pulsed under his palms, glowing faintly brighter. The heat between them filled the air. Daniel's heartbeat thundered in his ears. He tried to speak, but his voice was lost in the closeness of the moment. Lyra lowered her head, silver hair falling over her glowing cheeks. Her breath brushed against his chest, quick and uneven. "I can't control it," she murmured, "but your touch, it doesn't feel like pain." Daniel swallowed hard. The storm outside crashed again, but he hardly noticed. He stood frozen in place, holding a girl who was more fire than flesh. Her trembling slowed slightly, her breathing softened, and for a brief second she seemed calm. Then she pulled back suddenly, as if realizing what had happened. Her glowing eyes widened, and she stumbled away from him. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "This isn't right. You don't understand what this means." Daniel took a slow step toward her. "Then explain it, Lyra, because right now I don't know if I should be afraid of you, or for you." Her lips trembled, her voice almost breaking. "Both," she whispered. The lights flickered again, plunging the room into shadow. Her glowing form became the only light in the apartment. The storm roared, the walls trembled, and between them hung a single truth. Their first touch had changed everything. Daniel stood frozen, his hands still tingling with her heat. He realized now he was part of her fight, whether he wanted to be or not. The storm outside grew stronger with each passing hour. The alien sky flashed with violent colors, purple lightning streaking across the horizon. The apartment shook under the force of the winds. Windows groaned, and the power lines outside sparked. Like angry snakes, Daniel stood at the window, his forehead pressed to the cold glass. The storm raged wildly, yet somehow it felt quieter than the storm inside the apartment. Behind him, he could still hear Lyra's uneven breathing, heavy and quick. He turned slowly. She sat on the floor now, her arms wrapped tightly around her knees, her body glowing faintly, as if she carried the heat of the storm inside her veins. Her silver eyes were half closed, but every time thunder cracked, they snapped open, locking onto him. The air inside the apartment felt unbearable. Daniel had stripped down to a thin shirt, sweat soaking the fabric. His throat was dry and his head pounded. It wasn't just the storm, it was her. Her body radiated, heat like a living furnace filling the apartment with fire. "Lyra," he whispered. "This storm, it might last for days, maybe weeks. How are we supposed to make it through like this?" Her lips parted, but no sound came out at first. Then finally she whispered, "You're not supposed to be here, Daniel. No human should be this close during the season." Daniel frowned. "Well, I am here and we're both trapped, so what happens now?" She lowered her head, her voice breaking. "Either I endure the fire alone until it destroys me, or I surrender to it. And if I do, it could destroy you." The weight of her words pressed against his chest. He wanted to believe there was another way, some cure, some medicine. But looking at her trembling form, he knew this was no ordinary sickness. This was deeper, older, something written in her very blood. The storm slammed against the building. A loud crack echoed as something heavy broke off outside. The lights flickered once, twice, then steadied again. Daniel's heart raced. If the power went out, the heat inside would be unbearable. He went to the kitchen, grabbing a bottle of water. He placed it beside her, but she only stared at it. Her glowing hands trembled as she whispered, "It won't help. The fire is inside, nothing can cool it." Daniel sat across from her, running a hand through his damp hair. His eyes never left her face. He wanted to reach for her again, like before, but he stopped himself. The memory of her burning skin still lingered in his palms. Hours crawled by. The storm raged. Food supplies ran low, and the apartment shrank around them. Every space felt heavy with her heat. Every glance from her glowing eyes made his heart pound harder. He could see it. She was losing control. Suddenly, the walls shook with a massive thunderclap. A sharp crash followed, and the lights died instantly, plunging the room into darkness. Daniel froze. "Lyra?" He called into the dark. Her silver glow lit up faintly, her body the only light source left, but instead of calming him, it filled him with dread. Her glow was brighter, stronger, pulsing with every breath she took. She stood slowly, her figure outlined in that strange light. "I can't hold it back anymore," she whispered, her voice trembling like the storm outside. Her glowing eyes fixed on him, sharp and unblinking. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. In the dark apartment, surrounded by a storm with no escape, he realized the true danger wasn't the world outside. It was the fire standing only a few steps away from him. The room was filled with silence after the lights died. The storm roared outside, but inside the apartment there was only the sound of breathing, heavy, uneven. Daniel's heartbeat pounded in his chest as he stared at the faint glow of Lyra's body. She stood like a shadow of light in the darkness. Trembling, he took a careful step forward. "Lyra, talk to me. What's happening to you?" Her silver eyes flicked up, glowing brighter. For a moment she looked angry, but then her face softened, her lips trembling. She sank back onto the couch, hiding her face in her hands. Her voice came out broken. "I can't keep it in anymore. Daniel, I can't fight it alone." Daniel felt the weight of her words. He stepped closer, keeping his voice calm. "Tell me. I need to understand. You've been suffering since this started. You don't have to hide it from me." Her hands dropped slowly, her glowing cheeks streaked with tears. He had never seen her cry before. She had always been so strong, so full of life. Now she looked fragile, like a flame about to die. "My people," she whispered, her voice shaking. "We are bound to the season. The heat rises inside us, and if we resist too long, our bodies collapse, our hearts burn until they stop beating." Daniel's stomach tightened. "That's why you said you'll die if you fail." She nodded weakly, her voice barely audible. "Yes. But there's only one way to survive. We need a bond, someone to share it with. Without it, the fire consumes us." Her eyes lifted to his, silver light shimmering in the dark. "And now, you are the only one here with me." Daniel's breath caught. His mind spun with confusion. "You mean me?" Her tears glowed under the silver light as she nodded. "I didn't want this, I didn't choose it. But if I push you away, I'll die, and if I draw you in, I might hurt you." Daniel sat slowly on the edge of the couch. Not too close, not too far. His thoughts crashed like the storm outside. She wasn't just asking for comfort, she was asking for survival. "I don't know if I can do this," he admitted softly. "I'm not like you, I don't even know if I can handle whatever this is." Her trembling hand reached out halfway, then stopped in the air, shaking. "I don't want to use you, Daniel. I don't want you to think I see you as anything less than a person. But the fire doesn't care what I want. The fire only wants to survive." Her words hit deep. Daniel could see it in her eyes. This wasn't a trap. It wasn't desire alone. It was pain. Desperate pain. The storm outside screamed, wind slamming against the windows. Daniel finally reached out, his fingers brushing against her hand. The heat nearly burned him, but he didn't pull away. Her silver eyes widened and more tears spilled down her cheeks. "You're not alone anymore," he whispered, his voice unsteady. "Not while I'm here." Her breath hitched sharply. She squeezed his hand, trembling. "You don't understand what that means, Daniel. If you give yourself to this, we won't be just roommates anymore. We will be bound in ways humans don't know." Daniel's chest tightened. Her words carried weight he didn't yet understand. But one thing was clear. He had already stepped into the fire and there was no turning back. The lights outside flickered once through the storm clouds. For a heartbeat, Daniel saw her clearly, glowing, broken, desperate, and holding his hand like it was her last chance at life. And in that moment, he realized, the confession wasn't just about survival. It was about trust. Trust she had placed only in him. The night stretched on with no end. The storm outside kept screaming, but inside the apartment the silence between them was louder. Daniel sat near the couch, his hand still resting close to hers. He felt the heat radiating from her body, a heat that filled the entire room. Lyra leaned back, her chest rising and falling quickly. Her silver eyes flicked toward him every few seconds, as if checking if he was still there. The glow of her skin dimmed and flared in waves. Daniel could almost feel the rhythm of it, like a heartbeat pressing against the air. He stood up and paced the room. The walls felt closer than ever, the apartment smaller. His breath came heavy. The heat pressed down on him, sweat soaking his shirt. Every corner of the room reminded him he was trapped with her. When he looked back, Lyra was standing now, her bare feet silent against the floor. She moved slowly toward him. Her glow lit the shadows, painting her like a living flame. Daniel froze. "You don't have to follow me," he said softly. Her lips trembled. "I can't help it. My body seeks you, even when my mind says no. Her words struck deep. He stepped back until his shoulders touched the wall. She stopped only a breath away. Her silver eyes stared into his, and for the first time he saw something new in them. Not just fear, but longing. Lyra, he whispered. If this closeness is hurting you, I'll move away. Her voice cracked as she shook her head. No, it's worse when you're far. The fire burns more when I can't see you, when I can't feel you. Daniel's chest tightened. He could hear the desperation in her tone. He didn't know if he should be afraid or if he should comfort her. Maybe both. His hand lifted slightly, but he stopped himself before reaching her. The memory of the first touch still burned in his mind. She stepped closer, so close he could feel the heat of her body without touching. Her trembling hands hovered near his chest but didn't make contact. Her breath hitched. Why don't you run, Daniel? Humans would run from this. Because running won't save either of us, he replied, his voice steady though his heart raced. We're trapped here, and if staying near you helps, then that's what I'll do. Her silver eyes softened, shimmering with tears. You don't know what that means, she whispered. The storm crashed against the building again, making the walls shake. Daniel didn't move. He stayed there, inches away from her glowing form. The air between them was heavy, thick with tension and heat. They stood like that for what felt like hours. Her trembling slowly eased, her breathing grew steadier. For the first time since the season began, she looked calmer. The fire inside her wasn't gone, but it was quieter. Daniel realized something. Then his closeness didn't just scare her, it soothed her. He wasn't fuel for her fire, he was the anchor holding her back from breaking. Her voice came out softer this time, almost a whisper meant only for him. If you keep staying this close, Daniel, you'll become part of me, and once that happens, you can't go back to being just human. His heart pounded at her words. He didn't know if it was a warning or a promise, but as she stood there glowing in the dark, trembling yet calmer with him near, Daniel understood one thing. Distance was no longer an option, and as the storm howled outside, the real storm was now measured in inches between them. The storm outside reached its fiercest point. Violet lightning cut through the sky, and the thunder made the whole apartment tremble. But Daniel barely noticed. Anymore, his eyes were locked on Lyra. She stood in the middle of the living room, her silver glow flaring brighter with every breath. Her trembling had returned stronger than before. Her hands dug into the arm of the couch until the fabric tore beneath her grip. The heat radiating from her body filled the apartment like a furnace. Lyra, Daniel said carefully, you have to calm down. Her silver eyes flicked toward him, wide and wild. I can't. I tried, but it's breaking me. Her voice cracked like the thunder outside. Daniel stepped forward slowly. His instincts screamed to keep his distance, but something in her voice kept pulling him closer. She staggered back, her glowing hands gripping the wall. The wood beneath her fingers began to smoke under the heat. He froze, shock running through him. Her strength wasn't just alien, it was dangerous. If she lost control completely, she could tear the apartment apart. Stay away, she cried suddenly, her voice filled with both fear and command. If I touch you now, I won't stop. Her words hit him like a blade. He knew she was telling the truth. He saw it in her eyes. The desperate mix of fear and hunger. The fire that begged to be fed but fought to be resisted. Daniel's breath came fast. He thought about running to his room, locking the door, but another thought stopped him. If she collapsed from the fire, if her body gave out, she would die alone on that floor, and he couldn't let that happen. Lyra, he said firmly, his voice louder now. Look at me. Her glowing eyes snapped to his. Her body shook, her breath ragged. Why are you still here? She whispered. Why won't you run? Because you're not just fire, Daniel answered. You're my friend, and I won't let this kill you. For a moment her trembling slowed. Her eyes softened. But then another wave hit her body. She screamed, the sound raw and broken. Her hand shot out toward the door handle, gripping it so hard the metal bent beneath her strength. Smoke rose from the scorched steel. Daniel rushed forward without thinking. He grabbed her shoulders, holding her tight. The heat seared his palms, but he didn't let go. She struggled, her strength wild, her glowing eyes wide with panic. "Daniel," she cried. "Don't touch me. I'll burn you. I'll break you." But he held her, his voice steady. "Then break me, Lara, but don't let it break you." Her body shook violently. Her silver glow flared so bright it lit up the entire room like lightning. For a moment, Daniel thought she might shove him away, or worse, tear him apart. But then she collapsed against him, her forehead pressing into his chest. Her glowing hands trembled against his arms. Her voice came out small, almost childlike. "I can't fight anymore." Daniel's chest tightened as he held her. His mind raced. Was this surrender or the end of her control? He didn't know. He only knew that her fire was no longer just hers. It was wrapping around him too, pulling him into the storm. Outside, the thunder crashed again. But inside, Daniel realized the real storm had broken at last, and he was standing in the very heart of it. Daniel held her tightly, her trembling body pressed against him. Her glow burned like silver fire, the heat seeping into his chest. He could feel her heart, racing, wild and desperate. His own heart pounded just as fast. Lyra's voice came out broken, muffled against him. "Daniel, it can't go on like this. I'll destroy myself or I'll destroy you." He swallowed hard, trying to steady his breath. "Then tell me what I need to do, Lyra. Don't hide it anymore." She lifted her head slowly, her glowing silver eyes, locking with his. They shimmered with fear, pain, and something deeper. "My people. We cannot survive the season alone. The fire consumes us. The only way to live is to share it, to bind it with another." Daniel froze, his chest tightened. "Bind it? With me?" Her trembling hand rose, hovering near his cheek but stopping short. "Yes, you are the only one here, the only one who can save me now. But if you agree, you won't just be helping me, you'll be tied to me, bound in a way humans don't understand." Daniel's mind spun. He thought of the storm outside, of the locked doors, of the endless hours of heat pressing down on them. He thought of her tears, her broken voice, the fire inside her threatening to burn her alive. "And if I say no?" he asked quietly. Her silver eyes darkened with sorrow. "Then I die. The fire will eat me until nothing remains." The words cut deep. Daniel felt the weight of the decision pressing on his chest. He had come here as just a roommate, a student, sharing an apartment on a colony station. He had never asked for this, never imagined this moment. Yet here he was, the only thing standing between her and death. Lyra's voice trembled. "I don't want to force you, Daniel. I don't want you to think I am using you, but the fire doesn't care what I want. It only cares that I survive." The room fell silent except for the storm outside. Daniel paced back a step, running his hand through his damp hair. His body shook, not from fear of her, but from the weight of choice. She watched him with wide eyes, her glowing hands gripping the couch as if she might collapse. "If you walk away," she whispered, "I won't blame you. But if you stay, then everything changes for both of us." Daniel stared at her, glowing in the dark like a flame begging not to be extinguished. He thought of every moment since the lockdown began. The heat, the trembling, the fear in her voice, and the way. Her body calmed only when he was near. Slowly he stepped forward again, his voice unsteady. "If I choose this, if I choose you, what happens to me?" Her silver eyes filled with tears. "You will feel the fire too. It will hurt, it will burn, but if you survive it, we will be bound. I will never be able to break that bond, not in this life." Daniel's chest rose and fell heavily. His mind screamed with doubt, but his heart told him the truth. He couldn't let her die, not like this. He reached out and took her trembling hand. The heat seared his skin, but he didn't let go. Her eyes widened, glowing brighter than before. "Then I'll face it," he whispered, his voice steady now. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together." Lyra gasped, her body trembling with shock. Her silver glow flared until the entire room lit like daylight. She clutched his hand tighter, her tears streaming. "You don't understand what you've just chosen," she whispered, her voice both fearful and grateful. But soon, you will. Outside, the thunder roared like a warning. Inside, Daniel realized the real storm was only just beginning. The moment Daniel held her hand, the fire leapt into him. It was not like touching hot metal. It was deeper, burning through his veins. His breath caught, his knees almost buckled. He gasped, but he did not let go. Lyra's glowing eyes widened, shock flashing across her face. "Daniel," she whispered. "You feel it, don't you?" He nodded weakly, his chest rising and falling quickly. "Yes, it's inside me now." The fire spread like liquid heat, not killing him but changing him. His skin prickled, his heart pounded faster than ever. Yet through the pain, he felt something else. Her. Her trembling eased. Her breathing slowed. Her silver glow softened to a steady light. No longer wild, Lyra's tears glistened on her cheeks. "You've taken part of it, you're carrying my fire." Daniel tried to steady his voice, though sweat rolled down his face. "It hurts, but I can handle it. If it saves you, I can take more." Her hand tightened around his. "No, not too much. If you take too much, the fire will break your human body. You must only share it, not carry it all." They stayed like that, locked hand in hand. The room felt different now. The heat was still there, but it was no longer crushing. It was balanced, divided between them. Daniel realized she wasn't the only one trembling anymore. He was shaking too, bound to her in a way he could not explain. Her silver eyes softened, her voice low and fragile. "Do you understand now, Daniel? This bond, it isn't just survival. It's deeper. It ties my life to yours. If you walk away now, I'll still be bound. I will always feel you, even from a distance." His breath caught. He hadn't thought about the future. He had only wanted to save her. But now her words hit him like thunder. This was no temporary act. This was forever. The storm outside cracked again, lightning flashing through the window. For a brief second, their shadows joined against the wall, bound as one. Daniel whispered, "Then we survive together or we fall together." Her lips trembled. She looked at him with a mix of fear and wonder. "Humans. You always choose the impossible." A silence followed, heavy but not empty. Daniel felt the fire inside him pulsing in rhythm with hers, two hearts beating in the same storm. He could feel her emotions bleeding through, the fear, the longing, the relief. They weren't words, but he understood them. The bond had already begun. For the first time since the season started, Lyra leaned against him. Her forehead rested on his shoulder. Her body still glowed faintly, but her trembling was gone. She whispered softly, "I can breathe now." Daniel's chest rose heavily. His body still burned, but he forced a small smile. Then it was worth it. But deep inside he knew this wasn't the end. The fire wasn't gone. It was only quieter. He could feel it waiting, ready to rise again. And when it did, would his human body survive? Or would the bond demand? Even more, Lyra's hand squeezed his again as if she felt the same doubt. Her silver eyes lifted to meet his. "This bond, it has only just begun, Daniel. And when the season ends, you will no longer be the same. You may not even be fully human anymore." His chest tightened at her words. The storm outside raged louder. But inside, the greater storm was the bond silently growing between them, unspoken but unbreakable. And as he held her close, he realized one truth. The fire was no longer hers alone. It was theirs. The storm finally broke after what felt like forever. The thunder faded into the distance. The violent lightning no longer flashed across the alien sky. A strange silence filled the colony, a silence so deep it made Daniel's ears ring. He opened his eyes slowly. His body ached, his chest heavy. He was still sitting on the couch, and Lyra rested against him. Her silver glow had dimmed to a faint shimmer, no longer burning. Her breathing was steady, calm, peaceful. For the first time since the lockdown began, the heat inside the apartment felt bearable. Daniel could breathe without choking on fire. He let out a shaky sigh, relief mixing with exhaustion. He glanced at her. She looked almost asleep, her face soft, no longer twisted with pain. As dawn rose outside, pale light slipped through the cracks of the window. The storm clouds slowly drifted apart, revealing the quiet sky beyond. The lockdown alert beeped once from the wall speaker. Containment lifted. Residents may now exit their quarters. Daniel's eyes widened at the words. After days trapped in fear and fire, they were free. He should have felt joy. But when he looked down at Lyra, still leaning against him, something heavy pressed. On his chest she stirred, her silver eyes fluttering open. They were softer now, no longer blazing like before. Her glow was faint, but her hand was still clasped tightly around his, as if even in sleep she had refused to let go. "You stayed," she whispered weakly, her voice raw. Daniel gave a tired smile. "I told you I would." Her eyes filled with quiet emotion, she nodded slowly. "The fire is gone. For now, but the bond, it will never fade." Daniel felt it too, a strange pulse deep inside, not his heartbeat, not his thoughts, but hers. A whisper of her emotions woven into him. He didn't know how to explain it, but he knew he was no longer the same. He stood slowly, helping her to her feet. Her body was weak but steady. She leaned against him for balance. Her silver eyes roamed the room, the torn fabric, the scorched door handle, the shadows left by their fight. "This place survived," she murmured, "and so did we." Daniel looked toward the door. The locks had clicked open. Freedom waited just beyond. But when he glanced back at her, he realized freedom wasn't as simple as stepping outside. The real chains now were invisible, the bond tying their lives together. "What happens now, Lyra?" he asked quietly. Her silver gaze met his, steady and unflinching. "Now, you walk with me. Wherever I go, you will feel it. Wherever you go, I will feel you. You saved me, Daniel, but in doing so, you became part of me." His chest tightened at her words. Outside, neighbors' voices began to fill the halls as the lockdown ended. People were stepping out, laughing in relief. But inside this apartment, everything was different. Daniel looked at her, at the faint silver glow of her skin, at the quiet strength in her trembling body. He wondered if he had saved her life, or given away his own. The morning sun broke fully through the clouds, casting golden light into the room. Lyra squeezed, his hand, her voice soft but filled with weight. "The season will return, Daniel, and when it does, you will no longer face it as just human. You will face it as mine." Her words left him frozen, his mind filled with questions, but his heart already knew the truth. Nothing would ever be the same. The storm outside had ended, but inside, a new storm was only beginning.